Peace, family. You tuned in to another segment of the Accountability Corner, where we have conversations with our higher selves that allows us to hold everybody accountable, but most importantly, ourselves. And I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna play too many games. Scrolling Facebook, doing what I'm doing to gather ideas and things of that nature. And I saw something about DaBaby, and I guess her name is DaniLeigh. Okay, so first off, I'm not sure if you know the situation at all, but as far as I know, I'm just picking this up. As far as I know, DaBaby called the police on DaniLeigh, and told the police that he had been assaulted by DaniLeigh. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a couple of different things on that. But the second thing so he ended up calling twice. Now, one of the main points that I wanted to bring up was the fact that DaBaby had to call the police 2 separate times after being physically assaulted by this woman. Now, he called on a Sunday and he called Monday, or maybe yesterday and today. I'm really not sure which Sunday. I don't keep up, and I'm not trying to keep up that well. I'm here to have a conversation with the higher forms of people who decide that this is what they want to. This is something that they can deal with, or that they can do. Okay, so he called the police on DaniLeigh. The police told him to go to the sheriff's office or go to whatever police precinct, police department, whatever. He needs to go to a law enforcement agency in order for him to be able to file charges for his being assaulted. Now, I'm having a hard time with that, okay? And the reason why I'm having a hard time with that is because he had to call the police a second time. So when he calls the police a second time for being assaulted a second time, not only is he a victim of Miss DaniLeigh's, but at that time, he's also a victim of said police department. And the reason why is because he reached out for help in the best way that a man possibly could, because we're in a world where women are getting away with abusing men. And watch this, watch how. Okay, so these comments are talking about how unfair, how unfair things are between DaBaby and DaniLeigh. And the issue is that if, and take a second and really think about this. Don't mind this shirt. It's just a shirt. I don't have everything that I need, but we will have apparel coming soon. We will have things coming soon so that I can represent myself and then like-minded individuals and fellow entrepreneurs and people seeking business and things of that nature. Sidebar. Anyway, back at it. If you think about it for a second, and you don't necessarily have to think about hypotheticals in the sense of it being him and her, but if we were dealing with a man and a woman, and the woman was the one who called the police, and the police told her to go to the police department or go to the sheriff's office or whatever to file charges, there would be an uproar right now from the same people who are saying that these things are unfair. Just trying to undermine the truth of what it is that's taking place in the world that we're in right now. Because truthfully speaking, we're in a world where women are the ones telling men now that this is no more than a sexual relationship. And even if we are staying together or living together, we both have the understanding, or the woman believes that they both have the understanding that when she gets ready to leave, she will leave. And if it's her place, then when she gets ready for you to leave, then you will leave. So give me a second, just setting my 30 minutes, setting my half hour. I am, I gotta give or take a few minutes. So these posters, this meme is going around saying, him, we're not in a relationship, we've never been in a relationship, and then also him, and then showing him being really intimate with her and kissing her and being very, very forward with the way that he feels about her, whether or not he decided that these feelings that he has for her has to necessarily manifest itself through a relationship is on him. He's a man, he can choose for himself just like everybody else wants to choose for themselves. Now, if it were a woman posting pictures of her and a man, now see, and it's a little bit different because men and women operate different. A lot of times, for me, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of the women that I've dealt with never minded whether or not I had a woman, and they really got jealous to the point of wanting to be in her position when I did show her off. Men are a little bit different. If you showing off your man, that means you happy with him in my mind. That's just my mind. Excuse me, and excuse me if it's just my mind. But another thing that I will point out is that if the woman were being intimate with the man and then she decided that that the feelings wouldn't turn into a relationship, then she would be applauded by the same people that's calling this situation unfair, or the same people that's trying to call DaBaby out for the way that he represented their relationship. And I don't mean in a committed relationship, I mean the same thing as in the relationship between two people or three people or four people, friendship, whatever. Whether or not he was courting her or is courting her to see whether or not them having a baby together can turn into something, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's really going on. The thing that I'm pointing out the most and that I'm trying to get other people to see is that there is a form of implicit bias within the dynamic of relationships. Just the same way you can point out a police officer and say that he looks at a Black person and assumes something, or whether or not he assumes that you have a rough or had a rough background. I had a police officer come to me and say, hey, I had it rough growing up, and I know you probably could say the same. And one of my buddies next to me said, that's a form of implicit bias. Whether it's plus or minus, it's a form of bias. So now what we're looking at is the consumers of America, the people of America who spend the most money and spend the most time watching other people produce things, they have an issue with thinking for themselves. Because this is showing because we are not looking at all situations the same. If DaBaby put his hands on that young woman, like, and it's a totally different level of domestic violence, but Tory Lanez, the way that the world reacted to Tory Lanez and Meg the stallion, I just don't see how a woman is walking around proudly calling herself calling herself to embody a stallion. The stallion is a male horse. That's weird in a world where women are trying to be men and vice versa. So anyway, and you know what, I'm not going to touch on that on here. I know y'all could come for me. I'm here for it. But anyway, these people are not able to see just how easy it is for them to be used to tear someone down, because this war on the Black man is becoming so much more apparent day by day, especially as I step into the more mature parts of my manhood. I can see how these parts of me are under attack, which is why it may have taken so long for these things to manifest, because I have to decide within myself that my manhood within me and me being satisfied with me was more important than me seeking the satisfaction of the community or the society or my family members or this, that, or the third. It's up to me, and I have to go to bed with my actions and inactions and with my words and the words I chose not to say. So I'm not going to continue to dance around subjects or to pussyfoot, as I say. Thank you, Minister Lewis. Excuse me. You know what, Minister Louis Farrakhan. I appreciate him for coming so heavily toward falsehood, mistruths, and things of that nature. And what he's doing is also influencing people to do better and to teach others to do better. So his work is speaking for itself, and there's no reason why we need to try to combat what it is that he's doing at all. He's doing great for all of us, and if I can do just a part of what he's done for the community, then I think I will be able to go to my final resting place, satisfied with the work that I've put in. And I do want to do better on certain things, and make sure that I'm taking care of my family first. But anyway, I'm not going to dance around the fact that we are in a time where people are allowing themselves to be used to tear down Black people, Black men, Black women, Black children, and they don't even know what they're doing. So now let's introduce some terms. Let's introduce some terms. So we gonna go with the Uncle Tom, the coon, the sellout male, Epsilon, if I'm not mistaken. That would be the correct way to refer to them. And then we would have the female version. I don't know what the name would be. We just say Aunt Jemima, since it's auntie and uncle, but we just gonna go with that. But anyway, if an Uncle Tom is popular in the media for whatever reason, a sellout. If a sellout celebrity is in the media for whatever reason, and they're in the media because of an altercation with someone who stands firm in their beliefs as it pertains to Black people in the Black community. If they are in the media at the same time for an altercation with each other, you will have certain people used of all races, creeds, and denominations, just so long as they pay attention and are hip to these things. You will have the almost the entirety of them used to tear down the man or woman that stands firm in their beliefs. So then you have two Black people against each other, right? So since you're choosing one Black person over another Black person, there's no way, in your mind, there's no way that you could be used to tear down a Black person. You're defending one, right? Wrong. And I know that that's probably the first time you've heard that, but you're absolutely wrong. When you especially as an ally, white allies in the area that I'm more familiar with. I deal with white people who have become allies to Black people into the Black struggle or the struggle of colored or indigenous people here in America. And what I'm learning is that they have a very strong misunderstanding of what it means to be an ally to Black people. What do I mean? Now, the word alliance is typically used when you're talking about nations, right? So the reason why I refer to them as allies is because my goal is for there to be a nation of Black people and Black people that came from America or were born in America to have of their own. So I deal with nation building and the destroying of nations. So through the flaw of how we're dealing with a domestic violence situation and then charging the victim with the crime, that's not conducive to the building of a healthy nation. So let's get back to the point that I was on before I ventured off just a little bit. When a Black person goes against the common belief of the Black community, and excuse me, because there are certain thoughts that we have in the Black community that we should not be having. There are certain things that we do that we should not be doing, etc. You know, so there are certain times where this fits, but it is never the allies' place to step into the endeavors of a nation. Your job is to help me fight our mutual enemies. Your job is not to come in and try to be the peacekeeper or the peacemaker between me and someone who is of my nation. So if at any point in time you call yourself putting your nose in Black folks' business in the regard or in terms of two Black people discussing a disagreement or a Black person coming and being forward about something that they disagree with that's going on throughout the majority of the community. As soon as you do that, you are in the wrong. Now, let me tell you how the misconception has been introduced to the American people. Let me express this to you. Let me explain. Let me make it clear. I'm looking at me, I should be looking at you. Let me make it clear. Anytime America has gone to a country with the intention to stand in between people of the same nation who have a disagreement, America's sole purpose was to divide so that they could conquer. So when you, ally, so-called allies, aspiring allies, excuse the fire, but when you call yourself getting into the business of a nation, it looks like dividing and conquering to someone who understands the way that nations operate. I don't remember how I got on that point, and I'm gonna go ahead and get back to where I know I'm going because I have mental notes, and of course I'm gonna venture off. This is why I'm gonna start writing, and I have started writing for other episodes and things of that nature, other segments. But right now, the consumers of hip hop culture, Black culture, the Black community, the consumers and the people who are entertained by the lives of Black people are being used to tear down the Black man each and every opportunity they get, because when a man is wrong and he put his hands on a woman, they come for him. Even when he apologizes, they come for him. Even when he shows that he's changed the way that he's lived. When he shows that he's changed the way that not only the way that he deals with that woman, but his daughters and his mother and his current woman, if his woman is new, and things of that nature. Even when he shows that he has changed, people come for him and they try to tear him down and to destroy him because of the things that he did before. And then when this man is the victim, and let's take out of our mind the thought or the image of a victim being someone who is afraid and in a corner. No, I'm the victim when I stand up to you and I say, if you hit me again, you know the rest. I'm still the victim because what I'm telling you is that I don't want to do what it is that I'm influenced to do when you take on these actions. I'm still the victim because there has not been a time when my children's mother put her hands on me, or my ex-girlfriend, we're going to leave her name out of it too, when she put her hands on me and I found it to be necessary to defend myself. There has not been a time where I did not get down on myself as if I was the aggressor. So once these women, and especially my children's mother, once she figured that I would feel bad even after defending myself, how many more times do you believe she put me in the position to need to defend myself simply because I was going to beat myself up as if I was the aggressor anyway? These are the things that we got to think about. Conversation with your higher self. Don't forget to hold yourself accountable. Don't forget to deal with you. And see, what I'm finding with this situation with DaBaby and DaniLeigh is that we have, the majority of us do not have the ability to think rationally, to think critically, or to think as individuals. Because when you think as an individual, your instincts should tell you what's right and what's wrong. And I'm just trying to explain that if you lived off your instincts and your instincts tell you right and wrong, and something similar to what my instincts is telling me, then we can live in unity. Why is it that America is one of the only places where people could come from all over the world with all different types of mentalities, all different type of goals, all different type of spirits, all different type of attitudes, and then call itself united? That's a fucked up way, that is a messed up way for them to represent themselves. And I do say them, and we'll get to that later. Anyway, we're dealing with a place where people born, let me slow down. Okay. What we need to realize is that the conditions that we are born into, or the conditions we are born in, has a very strong influence on our instincts. Our instincts tell us to survive. Our instincts lead us to a form of being able to thrive after we figure out how to survive. So when you have people who are born in countries where things are totally different, their instincts influence them to be different when they come here. And sometimes these people live in a way that is completely opposite or backwards to the way that we live in America. Did you know that it was evil to live backwards? Get it? Because evil is live backwards. So when someone comes from a country and they live in a way that is completely opposite to you, they expect the political system to be different. They expect for this, that, and the third to be something that's close to the opposite of what you have. These people will live in a backwards fashion. These people will be evil to you. You will be evil to them. You will be natural enemies for the simple fact that your instincts tell you to live differently. So instinct, when you think of, or in terms of your instincts, you can see that you don't need to teach a puppy to find the milk, neither an infant child of a human being. They don't need to know that the breasts are made for feeding and healing the multitude. They don't need to be told that. Something within them tells them that this is the source from which life will come. With that being said, with that being understood, with that being understood, with that being overstood, we should understand that our instincts will lead us into life, because you learn how to survive in your early years. Then once you know how to survive and how to navigate the plane that you're on, then you can find your way and make your way into living and thriving, adapting and evolving. So the Black man being the source from which Black people come from, okay? Because if we plant the apple seed in the peach orchard, you know the rest. The characteristics of the apple may be manipulated by the soil from which it grew, but it will still be an apple with peach-like character traits. The father can only produce what the father is. The mother can bring forth whatever the father is. So with that being said, with that being understood, we need to understand that they are trying to remove the roots from the fruit. And that's on top of disconnecting the fruit from the tree from which it grew. And they're trying to stick the entirety of the fruit back into the soil. What they don't realize is before that fruit can bear more fruit, it must rot. Why are we so rotten as a people? Why are we so spoiled? Why is it that the actions we're committed to are not conducive to the things? I had something catchy to go and I dropped it, but anyway, you get the point. I humor me. I humor me sometimes for the simple fact that I can put these words together, but if I don't write them down, I'm just like everybody else. It's a thought, and it could turn into something or it could go. But when I write things down, it's better. Why are we so rotten as a people? Why are we so spoiled as a people? Why is it that the actions that we are committed to are not bearing more fruit for us in a mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual fashion? because they are disconnecting us from the tree from which we came. Our mothers are the soil. Our fathers are the tree, the trees that we come from as the fruit. And one of the ways that we've become rotten is we've been disconnected from the tree and placed right back into the soil. But without the tree, the soil does not do the same work for the fruit. It does for the seed. So you see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? The soil is one of the most necessary components to the sprouting of a seedling. But the soil is not the end all be all for the fruit itself. The soil must work with the tree in order to bear fruit that can then turn into prosperity and a way for people to thrive. But what we're not realizing is, ally, what we're not realizing is, Miss Black Feminist, what we're not realizing is, brother man who just got introduced to politics, so you don't really know what it is that's going on. What it is that we have not realized is that we are being used to tear away the Black man from the family. We are being used to divide and conquer the Black community by dividing and conquering the Black family. We are standing as opposers, adversaries, a form of Satan against the prosperity of Black people when we allow ourselves to be used to tear down Black men, which is going into the forms of bias and the preconceived notions that are having Black men to be used and abused on so many different levels. Having the Black man to be made or to seem useless. And as you tear down the Black man, you reinforce in the mind of the mentally ill Black woman, the one who truly believes that she does not need a man. The one who truly believes that she was not made to be a companion to a man. The one that truly believes that feminism is a fight that she's supposed to take up with the head of her household because her sisters in menstruation over in the white community have a war going on with the men in her household. Those women have the notion reinforced in their mind that they can go without and should go without the Black man. And in turn, Black lives don't matter to you. We should not have to die for us to be someone that you're okay with being a father. How about that? All of this stuff going on in these courtrooms where Black fathers is being had, misused, abused, etc. With all of that that's going on, where are these people who were advocating for George Floyd's fatherhood? Come on. I got 30 seconds on the timer. I think I'm think I might go over. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. As a matter of fact, let me get myself let's get myself 5 minutes and 57 seconds. That's a shout out to my folks out there, man. One of my biggest inspirations, found his home on 57th Street, man. So we gonna go with 557. So as we watch closely, for us that think critically, for those of us who have conversations with our higher selves, in order for us to be able to hold everybody accountable, but most importantly ourselves, for those of us, what we are seeing right now is a divide between the people of America, and we're seeing it on so many different levels. They use politics to do it. They're using our race. They're using a lack of knowledge and understanding of the relationship between the races to divide us as well. Because for someone who wants to be an ally to Black people, they typically choose the Black people who are aligned with their either liberal or conservative agendas. But for those of us who stand in the middle, a lot of the time, there is no ally for us. So as they cling to those who identify with their ideals and their politics, they're leaving the true Black community hanging to dry. So because of a lack of understanding, other communities are not even able to properly align themselves with being allies to the Black community. This divide is happening in our homes. Willie Lynch disease, if you don't know what that is, just let me know and I'll be more than happy then to make a video on that, and I may even do a PowerPoint or a slideshow. You know, I just gotta, you know, give me some support. Show me, you know, that this information is not going to the wayside. Show me that you really at least get into understand where I'm coming from in order for us to have a conducive conversation, even if you disagree. Just show me. You know, I need encouragement too. And I think that participation is going to inspire me great. Willie Lynch wrote a letter on how to keep the slave a slave. Long story short, instill in their mind that they can trust you, their abuser, even more than they can trust their own mother and their own father. Show favorites. Make sure that they feel that there's a difference in the power structure within them, excuse me. Things of that nature. And those things are showing and manifest themselves today and on a scale that's almost unreadable at this point in time. We are being had. This young man, as far as we know, now more information may come out later and you may react to that information, but my reaction to the way people are reacting to what it is that we do know is that this young man was made a victim, and that even if he had not called the police and if he had physically defended himself, that people would have been looking at him as if he were the aggressor anyway. I got about 1 minute and 45 seconds. You know, I got to give the ending spiel, but I want to appeal. I want to appeal with your higher self And I want you to try your hardest to understand where it is that I'm coming from in order for you to determine whether or not I'm right or I'm wrong. Please don't come without thinking for yourself. Please don't come without thinking for yourself. I want to appeal to your higher self. I want to appeal to that person in you that can't stand what you did in the 3rd grade and you still ain't over it. I want to appeal to that person in you that tell the truth every time they tell a lie. Excuse me, you know, you could correct a lie with the truth because you can't help but hold yourself accountable. I'm appealing to you. Let us come together and have these conversations in order for us to build the type of society and the type of politics that are other than the politics coming from these politicians. Let us determine what needs to take place in our local areas. Let us determine what needs to take place for our children to not only survive, but to learn to thrive as well. Let us think about these subtle forms of character assassination, victim blaming, blame shifting, this energy of sociopathy, and this energy of narcissism. Let us find ourselves in a world where things are based upon actuality instead of people trying to manipulate our reality with their reality to change what actuality is. Metaverse. I got a lot. And it's funny because it doesn't matter what they come out with that's new, I already have something for it. I've had so many conversations with my higher self and with the higher selves of people that have inspired me that I feel very comfortable going forward. Anyway, I'm over my time. That's that. That's facts. Let me walk it back a little bit. What you just got done listening to is another edition of, another segment of, another episode of the Accountability Corner, where we have conversations with our higher selves that allows us to hold everybody accountable, but most importantly, ourselves. And that's that. That's facts. And remember, my people, I didn't come to be defeated.